So, are the Jehovah Witnesses a melting pot or a pressure cooker? I think a little bit of both, but it will end up a pressure cooker. And I have the tale of three women, and my wife being included in this trinity of disappointed women in this particular true story. A selling point that the Jehovah Witnesses like to tell people outside the faith is how united the Jehovah Witnesses are, how everything is in lockstep. Uh, in a particular week, everybody's studying the same material, doing the same routine, and it's a scheduled orchestra. Uh, Everybody being in lockstep. And that is true to a certain extent. But if you sort of observe the behavior of the Jehovah Witnesses and the congregations, you will see the little kinks in that armor and how it sort of falls apart a little bit. And depending where you are, some places are more cohesive than others. But the Jehovah Witnesses or the Watchtower, they're not immune to everyday problems, everyday worldly problems. But we're all human, so we all suffer from the same case. And for the Jehovah Witnesses, I think it's going to get a little bit worse. You've noticed that they've been selling all these kingdom halls all over the world and combining congregations that are pretty much dying, combining them with other ones, and just sort of concentrating the population centers or the population of Jehovah Witnesses closer and closer together because they're selling their property because there's not much interest as it was before, so they're not filling up the kingdom halls anymore. So they have to cut corners here and there and combine them and just have all these people, bunch up together, closer together, even though they have to travel. And in the conventions, the big 3-day get-togethers in the stadiums and arenas, they even had a propagation video about this, kind of softening their congregants into accept their assignment of moving to another location when told to, and don't ask any questions because they already figured this out. You don't need to ask questions. Just do as they say. But that's going to be a problem with a lot of people. And I'll tell you why. Now, in my location, there was 4 kingdom halls that are within, I would say, 50 miles of each other. One of them was a rural kingdom hall way out in the middle of nowhere. And it looked like a double wide trailer. But it was remodeled very nicely, I would say. I even took a look at it while it was on sale, and it was all empty, and it would be a nice little home if you could rebuild it into a home. The property was pretty nice, but it's closed down and it's sold. So all those people from that little congregation, and it was tiny, it was a rural country kingdom hall, they had to go to the next town over, which was maybe 15 miles away, 20 miles away, which is no big deal. But I think I'm going to go into woman number 1 in the new hall that everybody had to go to 20 miles away. This one particular woman, she was married to another Jehovah Witness male. So they had their little thing, and it wasn't working out. The husband treated the woman like crap. There was this particular male, from what my wife tells me, was not really emotionally developed enough to have a relationship of that caliber, I guess. He wasn't marriage material. He was okay as far as a JW person with privileges and, did all the right things and things like that. But behind closed doors, he wasn't the greatest husband. So the woman, she cheated on him. I mean, she just had to find what she was craving for. And I'm not talking about sex either. I'm talking about companionship and, a partner or somebody to talk to, something deeper meaningful relationship than what she had in her marriage. So she cheated on him, and you would know the rest of the story. They got divorced. She was disfellowship, and la di da. JW men in my location here is there's a lot of them. No, there's not enough of them. So this JW person married someone else, another woman, and the ex-wife, she got reinstated and went back, got remarried to a worldly person of all people, and currently she's very happy. And this worldly person, he's a really good guy, and he knows the ins and outs, and he knows how to handle the elders too. So that was really impressive as far as my understanding to me. So this woman is going to the same hall as her ex-husband because they still live in the same area, but the new wife of the Jehovah Witness male has jealousy issues with the wife that was divorced. So there's some friction there. And not only that, that other woman, this is like one of those families that are, a big family that are all JWs, and they're like, sort of the area Jehovah Witness royalty. They pretty much gang up on her as far as, trashing her character and things of that nature. And this is going all below the radar of the elders. So the woman who cheated on her husband, she's not really comfortable going to that particular hall. So she changed congregations to another building, I would say about 20 miles away past that. So this woman, the divorced woman, had to change congregations so she could feel comfortable going to church somewhere else rather than her close congregation where she lives close to. She's pretty much not welcome there at all. So that's scenario number one, woman number one. Woman number two, this woman, she was married to a worldly person for many years. I would say 15 years or more. For some reason, I don't know this person. I might have met the woman, I'm not sure, I don't remember. The male, the worldly male husband decided to leave her, and he filed for divorce. Don't know the reason why. He just wanted out and pretty much left her. The woman, the Jehovah Witness woman, was left, and you will find out that Jehovah Witness women, if they can, they marry really quick. I mean, as soon as they're available, there's no rebound, no anything. They're right back at it, and they remarry really quick with the next available prospective male closest to her. Usually another Jehovah Witness male. And so she did. You would think that that's a perfect situation for a JW couple. An undivided household. They're both Jehovah Witnesses, and they'll live together. They worship together, and on to Armageddon they wait. But it didn't turn out to be so nice. My wife got the story from one of only one good friend she's got left that is a Jehovah Witnesses, and she knows everything that goes around in all the congregations there. She's not a gossiper. I'm not saying that, but there is like an underground sisterhood that goes through all these congregations, especially if they're really close to each other. They warn each other about things like pedophiles. They actually warn each other about possible pedophiles being in the congregation, unbeknownst to the elders and the ministerial servants or the men of the group. So they do look out for each other in that sense, from what I see. But back to the story, this woman, not the gossiper, but the woman that remarried to a Jehovah Witness male, it didn't take too long, I would say maybe 6 months or a year. But she decided to leave her new husband because he was too controlling. This woman, she's a business savvy. She runs her own business. For her age, she is very physically fit and still, very active and a go-getter. She's very extroverted in that sense. Full of life. I would say she is full of life and enjoying life as it comes. But she had the need to move to another congregation to get away from her current husband, who is very controlling, according to this other woman. And the gossiper who told my wife about that situation, the woman who left her husband travels at least 30 miles to another physical location, another kingdom hall, another congregation away from her husband, so she could still worship without being too creeped out, being in the same congregation as her husband. Now, this husband, he's been married 3 times already. I think this was wife number 4. And he always plays the victim, according to the congregation, he's a spiritual gem. That's a sort of like a nickname to all the Jehovah Witness males out there, all females as well, that are externally very pious and very JW-like, according to their standards. And they play by the rules, and they have a lot of friends and go a lot out to, service meetings and things like that. So this guy had an external, innocent sort of reputation, but deep down inside, he's got some issues with women as far as being controlling and just driving these women away. He didn't want her to have the business anymore, or, to work for herself. Always asked her where she was going, controlling her ins and out, who she talked to. I mean, just stifling. I don't know how long it was, but it wasn't a year before she decided to skip on him. I don't know the outcome of that particular relationship, but that's not going too well. Just like woman number 1, woman number 2 had the need to go to another physical location, another congregation, to get away from this not so good situation of hers and still be, an active Jehovah Witness participant. And now we come to woman number 3, my wife, Mrs. Worldly Spouse. And her issues is with her parental parents, her biological parents, which they moved close to us. They don't live too far away from us. And they brought a lot of the baggage, narcissistic baggage, that's just making my wife life a living hell here. And you already heard the stories from my other videos that my wife's reputation has been run through the dirt, no fault of her own. She's a mom. She likes to be a mom, and she's very outgoing, very friendly, a blast to hang out with, really. That doesn't matter. Her reputation has been, nobody's given her a chance to prove herself otherwise. And there's some other issues, lingering issues from her childhood that, is just, it affects her mental health, I would say, her self-esteem and all those things. And she too needed to go to another congregation. It's the same physical building or location, but it's a different day, a different congregation that meet up other than with her parents. So my wife needed the need to separate herself from seeing, her parents, and she doesn't want my kids to hang out with her parents either, because they just, it's not healthy. In a 50-mile area, and I'm sure there's probably other stories where a particular Jehovah Witness person does not want to go to the local congregation that person is assigned to, just because there's some personal issues with maybe one of the congregants there, another Jehovah Witness there, where there's some friction there. So they have the need to go to another meeting day or another location altogether to get away from that particular situation. especially when you go to worship, even if it is the Jehovah Witnesses, it's still another worship area where you're supposed to reset your soul and things of that nature to kind of give you some encouragement or a reboot. But they can't find it there because there's drama in your worship area. And people are the same all over the world, so it doesn't matter what part of the states you're from, or country, or race, creed, or nationality. Everybody has the same sort of problems of that particular nature. So now that the Watchtower is jamming all these people to even closer together, there's going to be some problems where the elders probably don't foresee happening. Now all these people are going to be together. Let's take the three women to speak of, the trinity of the three disappointed women in my story here. What if two of those physical locations are closed down and consolidated into just a one centralized location, Kingdom Hall? All that drama is just going to get melted together, the melting pot, and is going to pressure cook until something blows. And I'm sure it's happening as we speak in like I say, somewhere in the world. That same situation is just acting out right now. So that was just the thought of the night of something that I see is happening, and how it could get even worse when all these kingdom halls are consolidated together. Just a thought of the night, just something to get out there to make people think.